All right, we are back on the Power Mizzou Zoomcast. This is our second try, so we are seasoned veterans at this now. Mitchell Forty up in one corner, down at the bottom of your screen there, LaDamian Washington, former Mizzou wide receiver, and so we're starting everybody. Just what are you doing these days, man? How do you occupy? How do you occupy every day?
Everyday life right now is about the same as everybody else's. Reflecting on past games, reflecting on high school, college, just going back in the day. But before the quarantine, basically, I was playing out in St. Louis for the Battlehawks. Enjoying that, enjoying being a dad right now and a family man. So those things right there pretty much keep me occupied day to day.
You mentioned playing for the Battlehawks. Curious to know your impression of life in the XFL, what that was like, how it was different from other football you've played, and how you felt like the city of St. Louis kind of received you guys.
First, I'll hit on the city of St. Louis. Honestly, it was insane. I think by far we had the best fans in the XFL. I think our coaches did a great job of putting a great product out there that made the fans have something to be proud of and show up as. Half of it was due to Cronky, and they wanted to do whatever they can to kind of, stick it to him. But, for us, we wanted to make sure that we gave them a reason to stick around and come to game two. Each game was sold out before the season got canceled. The third game was on pace to have about 45 plus thousand. They had sold out the upper decks in no time. But the product that was being put on the field throughout the XFL was tremendous. Every game that we went to, away games, had a decent crowd. I think they did a great job with the TV broadcasting. I think they did a great job at promoting it as a league, and also putting, some great coaches and great players in the league. And so I think that always speaks to itself, because you can put a product out there, but you don't have the caliber players to make a league and viewers tune in, then you don't have much of a league. So I was pretty much blown away with that. And I've played just about every level at this point, professional ball, AAF, CFL, NFL. So I pretty much know the ins and outs of what looks good and what doesn't.
You guys, you played a couple games, and then obviously this thing hit. I mean, what's that like? Just having to be cut off midseason and without divulging any secrets. Are you pretty confident? Hey, when football can be played again, this league is coming back, and you're going to get a shot at year two.
I can't speak so much for myself. Well, the coaches and the GMs have reached out to me and want me to come back, which is good for a guy like myself. Either one, whichever I choose to do, really undecided at this point, honestly. The season and next year, I think, is definitely going to be a thing. I think it was too big a success this year. I think Vince McMahon has the capital and the finances to pretty much bring it back. I think they were showing that they were selling out venues. I think that the TV ratings showed that, viewers were tuning in. It broke some of the AAF records in a matter of a couple of weeks that the AAF had done all year. And I think part of that was having the deals on ESPN, having them on Fox, TV stations where all the viewers can tune in. And I think that was huge.
I know, LaDamian, you're a guy who obviously, played 4 years at Missouri and has kind of stayed close to the program however you can. You've kind of been pretty outspoken in your desire to potentially get back and help however you can. Have you had any conversations like that about any ways you might be able to get involved?
Yeah, I have. Most of it, honestly, is just messing around on Twitter. I definitely mess around on Twitter. I that's kind of my social media app. I kind of on Instagram, but barely. Facebook, but barely. Twitter is kind of where I mess around. But I am pretty much serious about that. Honestly, I've been blessed enough to be able to play now professionally. I want to say this is 6 years. Honestly, the time has flown. I'm not even really keeping up, but it's been a journey for a kid like myself. And the thing is, it's a lot of things that I wish I could have done differently. Been a part of, I'll say a part of 7 NFL teams, 2 CFL teams at some point, AAF, and then you got the XFL. But for some reason, I'm sticking around. People are still calling me. It's not like I'm not pursuing it. I'm not pursuing the NFL. I'm not pursuing professional football at all. I don't even have an agent. I represent myself. So this isn't, a guy that's unwilling to put up the cleats. I'm definitely not calling teams. I'm definitely not calling coaches. I have a pretty good life outside of football, whether it's helping Coach Pinkel out with that nonprofit, whether it's helping out the one that I help run with, One Step Forward, whether it's traveling and motivational speaking, and whether it's just finally being able to, in the last 10 years, honestly, spend time with my brothers and my family. So I've talked. Barry Odom was the guy that recruited me. I talked to him. I just wanted to help out. At Mizzou in whatever way. Didn't want to be paid. I think financially, I have done great enough to where whether it's a season or two, I can pretty much see if there's something that I want to do without putting Mizzou in a bind, or without putting one of the head coaches in a bind. Something that I would do willingly just to give back to Mizzou, because Mizzou has changed my life in ways that I couldn't even imagine. Being a 145-pound kid that they took a chance on that wasn't even recruited. And so I talked to Drinkwitz about that same opportunity. And, he took me up on it. And he asked me how long did I want to play ball? Was I going to return the next coming year to play again? And, those was conversations that me and him kind of had, and we talked about some stuff. And surprisingly, after the first game in the XFL, he texted me, reached out to me. And so that goes to show what kind of character guy he is. And it just shows that, if the opportunity is there, I have the opportunity to coach at Mizzou. And I've also been approached by other schools to come and help out at their school, whether it's with the building part of some of the characteristics with some of these kids and integrating them into these college programs, or whether it's coaching. So the opportunity is there. It's more so for me debating on what's the perfect situation for myself.
You mentioned your brothers, and I think most people that are going to watch this probably are pretty familiar with your story. But obviously, when you were a kid, you basically got put in a position. It was just you and your brothers. How's the family doing? And over the last few years, has everybody kind of gotten back together?
Yeah, that's been huge. This last year was the first Christmas we spent together, and I want to say since probably 2008.
Wow.
So yeah, about what's that, 11,
12
years. Yeah, and so that was tremendous. Each year, a brother. About in the last 4 years since I kind of turned professional, about the last 3 or 4 years, every brother has kind of slowly moved in. My last brother moved up here this past July. We all got to spend Christmas together. So everybody lives here in Columbia now. This is definitely home for me, definitely home for my family. And that's why, Mizzou is a big part of why I kind of want to coach once I decide to get into coaching. If that is what I decide to do, I would do it at Mizzou. But it's been good. We've been so blessed. Columbia has changed my life. Mizzou has changed my life. No doubt about that.
All these kids that come out of high school say, hey, I'm going to this place for 4 years or whatever. Coming out of Louisiana, would you ever have envisioned that Columbia would become your home and would be what it has been for you guys?
No, not at all. Me coming to Columbia was scary in the first place. Louisiana, Columbia, Shreveport, like totally different, like complete 180s of each other, as far as like the background of what this city is built on, what Louisiana, like it was just totally different. And it took me like a year and a half, 2 years probably to adjust. And once I did that, I was able to be a better player on the field, honestly. And Coach Hill, who I talked to yesterday, called me yesterday morning, and who I talked to regularly, changed that for me. Coach Pinkel changed that for me. But I didn't see it as that, honestly. I came to Columbia to get my degree. I didn't think I was good enough to play in college, honestly, because nobody from my school ever went D1. Nobody was recruiting me. I got all 4 offers 4 weeks before signing day. And so to see now where that decision that I made back then, because I was going to go to Louisiana Tech with Coach Derek Dooley and be close to home. And I'm so glad I didn't make that decision. I'm so glad I came here. So made a world of difference.
So kind of circling back to your playing days, LaDainian, we were talking in our last one of these with some of the guys who were on that 2007 team, which obviously kind of made a big run for Missouri. You were a part of the 2013 team that made it to the SEC championship game for the first time. And that 2007 team, I think people maybe didn't think they were going to be as good as they were, but thought they had a chance to be pretty decent. Going into 2013, I remember the expectations were not particularly high, at least from the media and kind of the outside people. Mm-hmm. At what point did you and the guys on that team kind of feel like you had something special?
First of all, I want to give a 2017 credit. They had a lot of credit to our season and our success in 2013. We looked at that team, and we was a little bit jealous because that's all Coach Pinkel talked about in senior meetings. And I remember telling them, like, no, like we tired of hearing about the 2017. No disrespect to those guys, but the thing is, when you get good teams, it raises the level of expectation and standard. And they set the standard for our season. We wanted to make sure that people didn't no longer just talk about 2017. We wanted to talk about the 2013 team. And honestly, and I agree with a lot of Mizzou fans, of course, that was probably the talent-wise, that was the best team in Mizzou history. I mean, you got Chase, who broke records. You got Denario, who was on that team, who was great. Will Franklin. I mean, you got Chase Kaufman, Martin Rucker, all those guys, Macklin. I mean, their running backs was loaded. And our team wasn't as talented as them. You know, we didn't have the success professionally, but I think we was closer as a brotherhood than that team. And that team was really, really close, honestly, like really close. But I think for us, you know, we had failure the year before that kind of pushed us, you know, and everybody in the SEC thought that we didn't belong. And I remember that summer, you know, Coach Ivey, who's great, the best strength coach I've been around, he basically helped mold us into who we saw ourselves as already being. You know, when I knew that we were going to be great was honestly in January. And that sounds probably like, yeah, right. But we didn't make a bowl game, and everybody went home for Christmas break for the first time in probably all our careers in college because we was going to bowl games. And we came back, everybody came back like 2 weeks early and was in the weight room and on the field and working out. And I was like, wait, if this is our mentality, you know, going into the season, then, I mean, we got a chance to be special here. And then that summer I saw how we was working. And then once Michael Sam came out and said what he said in our crossover meetings, and to see some of the young 17, 18-year-old guys take to that because they knew that the goal was bigger than probably, you know, everything that they had to basically understand and like come to realization like, dang, like I only been here 2 months, but like this guy just came out as openly gay, but he's our teammate. We accept that. And when I saw that the 17, 18-year-old guys was taking that responsibility and accepting that and that didn't get out, I was like, okay, we got the chance to be something special. And then we go 4-0 and we get to Vanderbilt and put up 60 and didn't punt to fourth quarter. I was like, yeah, we on the roll.
All right, so the game everybody remembers is the Georgia game, and like everybody knows about that game. I don't want to talk about the game, but you tweeted about it a couple weeks ago. Like, you got any stories you want to tell about after that game, or?
What's crazy about that? A guy tweeted me a picture that night, and I mean my eyes are red, and I'm like, I remember exactly what I had on because I wore red out that night. And everybody's like, "Why would you wear Georgia colors?" I'm like, it's kind of a screw you to them,
right.
You know, because honestly, I grew up a huge Bulldog fan. I wasn't getting recruited by them, no way. But that night, honestly, I don't remember too much. I remember we used to always, in the locker room, it used to be always POP, and Jaleel Clark and Marvin Foster started. POP is party on the plane. And when we got to having Coach Pinkel dancing in the locker room after like wins, which was never a thing. People were scared to even say hi to Coach Pinkel. And we would just party on the plane, you know, no alcohol, anything like that. Right. But like us just like having music and dancing and getting the coaches to, you know, buy into it. And once we get off the plane, all the time, me, Michael Sam, Marvin Foster, Matt White, we'll go get a bucket from Bengals. You know, that's probably – and that game happened to be an early game, like a 12 o'clock game, right? So, I mean, we probably got there like at 6, 7. So, yeah, we was loaded as a rifle by the end of the night.
So it's exactly like we were talking to Rucker and Kaufman yesterday. I said, why do we got to wait till you guys are 30 years old to hear the good stories, man?
Because Pink was going to come in and give us a good story, you know.
Well, you can be pretty sure. I don't think Gary Pinkel's getting on Power Mizzou to watch a Zoom cast, so I don't think he's going to hear about that.
Oh, he can get on here. That's my guy now. We're like super close, which is crazy. Like we talk about just about everything, so he's heard it all now.
You actually kind of naturally segueing into my next question there, bringing up Coach Pinkel. You mentioned that you're involved kind of with his foundation, his nonprofit. Just how kind of have you been involved with that, and what's that experience been like?
He needs to pay me. I'm going to ask for some pay. You know, I can't be working for free out here. I ain't got no job no more. No, but it's good. We just gave about 14 kids scholarships to whether it's university or trade school. And I'm probably missing with the 14. I helped read some of the scholarships, like some of the essays to get the kids, you know, these scholarships. And, you know, we just do a great job at some of the fundraising events. We put a huge event on in Kansas City. Chase Kaufman came out to that. He was a big part of that. Martin Rucker is part of the golf tournament that we host here. And honestly, it's good. It's tremendous to see what he's done. You know, we started one step forward a few years back, and Coach Pinkel came up on that with us. And I think that pretty much inspired him to start his own. And I remember one day we met up at Starbucks because we usually meet, and I just kind of get some pointers about life or, you know, what's next for me and X, Y, and Z. And we talk. It's like, I got to let you in on the secret. And he told me about it, and I was super excited for him. In some way, like now we get to merge them both together and make them great for all of Missouri.
Have you gotten to see any reaction or hear from any of those kids that you guys gave the scholarships to earlier this week? I saw that on Twitter, but I haven't seen a lot since that day.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't important enough. They didn't put me in on that conversation because I'm one of the three guys that read the essays. And originally we talked about driving up to St. Louis, just kind of leaving them outside, like ring the doorbell and tell them that, hey, like since you don't get to graduate or whatever the case may be, because I'm pretty sure at this point graduations and stuff will be canceled, that we would go and do that. But some Coach Pinkel must have had a change of plans, didn't include me on it, so he'll be hearing about that from me here soon.
Well, Damian, we talked about your Bengals story, your post Georgia game story. I think that's one of the things that people kind of like about these opportunities. We get to talk to former players. It's just kind of some of the tales that go untold from their times during college. Do you have anything? It doesn't have to be Bengals related, but be it about Coach Pinkel or about some of the guys on the teams that you like to share.
I got stories for days. One of them is me and Michael Sam had a fight that summer going into our successful season. I think that was a turning point too, because we both got brought in to Coach Pinkel office about our lack of leadership. And I think, but we hugged it out right after that. But I think a funny story is I always tell people. So me and Coach Pinkel had kind of got cool to the point to where, like, I was just sitting in the locker room one day, and I used to eat McDonald's in college. Like, I didn't have any money. I'm eating McDonald's. I don't care what Coach Pinkel or the nutritionists say. Like, until y'all can pay me, I'm going to eat what I can afford. So the McDonald's had, like, these lemonade little slushies or whatever, and Coach Pinkel sits there, he crosses his leg, he's talking to me. Next thing I know, he's drinking a drink. I look down to get mine. He's drinking my lemonade slush that I had been drinking already, mouth all on the straw. So I should have gave it to him. So I kind of gave him crap about it. So then like a week later, I'm like, oh, I'm about to get him back. You want to drink my lemonade? So he got this little black Jeep. If you hadn't heard about it, ask him about it, because he'll brag about it or whatever. But he just got a new one. But he'll brag about his little gear he got. So he got the windows down and it's sitting in the parking lot. It's a nice day. And I'm like, oh, I'm about to get in here, take a selfie and send it to him. It's my senior year. So the door is locked, but he got the back part of it is down. So I can, like, I'm going to just reach my arm around and pick the lock, the alarm goes off. So like him and Dan Hopkins come out there and they like giving me a hard time because of it. But I thought I was gonna break into the Coach Pinkel car, take a selfie and send it to him. But I got busted, the alarm went off on it, so whatever.
The important part of that story is how you ate McDonald's every day and you weighed like 160 pounds, man. That's amazing.
Couldn't put the weight on for nothing. Still can't put it on. Still probably like, no, I'm about 190 now. I got some dad weight on me. I'm on my way to a dad bod.
There you go. It happens. What was it like? I know one of your teammates in St. Louis this year is Marcus Lucas. I mean, what's it like getting to play with Marcus again?
It was good. Like you know how they always tell you to value like the time you're spending with somebody. You always be like, yeah, like, we'll always catch up or whatever. That honestly was the first time I had seen Marcus in years, and we were super close in college, but he went to the Panthers right after. I went to the Cowboys. I was on 7 teams. He was about on 9 to 10, playing tight end and making it happen, honestly. And it was great. It was the first time I had played with a former Mizzou person. Well, I guess I had like Chase and Mitch Morris and Jeremy Macklin with the little short time I was with the Chiefs. But that was the first professional team I was on that I kind of had a Mizzou guy. And we just kind of embraced it. We was roommates the whole time. We caught up. We both have kids now. He's married. And to go out there and actually play some meaningful downs, I think was huge. And, we always joke with our coach, like, hey, line us up on the same side. Good things happen. But, I'm an ex-receiver, so I'm usually ISO. But in the game one time, my first touchdown, Marcus happened to, like, hurry up. He had to line up on the closest side he was on. And he made a key block for me and got me my first touchdown. So we bragged to the coach about good things happen when you go Mizzou guys' way. But it was honestly really, really good.
Speaking of guys you played with, I saw your quarterback in the XFL is actually now with the Chiefs. I don't love his chances of winning the starting job, but I mean that's got to be pretty cool for guys to know that hey, this is a possible pathway to the NFL.
Yeah, Lil Pono. Yeah, he's a young guy. He actually should have had an extra year of eligibility at Ole Miss. He kind of got screwed out of the NCAA saying 4 games to redshirt, and then a week later after he appealed it, they came out and said, oh, you can play 4 games in redshirt. So he got screwed out of that. He's a young talent. He could turn 2 quick, and what I mean by, like, just get the passes out quick. Like, I mean, he could, boom, turn 2. I mean, he's good with that. He's a young guy. Didn't play a lot of football growing up. course, he's from Hawaii, but his last 2 years he kind of played and went to military school. But he's a young guy, and I think Andy Reid helped him out. He just turned 22. So I think regardless, I think he'll benefit from it, whether, I think he'll make the team because he's a mobile guy. He's a smart guy. He's a high character guy, too. Never too high, never too low. I love Jordan. That's why I hung out with mostly when I was with the Battlehawks, him and a guy named Brandon Raleigh from Nebraska. So honestly, it's weird because after our season, it was like, screw this, we'll just go to Kansas City and party. And me and him went to Kansas City, and then like a week later, he got signed. So I'm happy for him.
One thing that you mentioned earlier that I found really interesting is that, you're not a guy who's calling a bunch of coaches trying to get, tryouts and get on teams, and you represent yourself. I'm curious how, kind of that mindset has you think, helped you or impacted your outlook on football with kind of, not taking anything for granted or just kind of making the most of these opportunities, even if you never maybe envisioned yourself playing in, say, the XFL.
Saved me some gray hair. I think training camps are hard. Like, honestly, seriously, like when you're a rookie, and I think that's what isn't like brought into account more when you're a rookie, especially an undrafted. That's why I think anybody that's undrafted and that makes a team, like, you know how many things you have to overcome to make a team as an undrafted free agent. Like, it's insane. Like, my mom was racing 100 miles per hour. It's like one mistake, one drop pass, one missed assignment, like one injury. Like, you have to, you can't, it's no room for error. Like, it is none. Like, it's almost like a combat. Like, I know Navy SEALs are like the top, but it's like you're on a mission. It's no room for error, like zero. And now I'm just like, I don't even care. Like, I think now if I had the same mindset, I would make a team. And I think that's what kept me around. I could always play receiver, but I'm so skinny. They're not going to put me on any special teams. And I'm real with myself. So my goal isn't to go back to the NFL because nobody's going to have a third string receiver, like the third receiver on the depth chart, and he's not playing special teams. Not going to happen. Where are you going to put me on special teams? Nowhere. Can I play receiver? Heck yeah, I think I'm one of the best receivers. I think I got better after college. And I think part of that was, I wish most of it as like OCs and like who's you playing with. I had some great teammates around me. Everybody couldn't get the ball. I think people missed my senior year. I was third in catches on that team. So I wasn't the go-to receiver on that team. I was third in receptions. Marcus led us and Doria was second. I was third. I had the most yards, but it ain't enough balls to go around with a Henry Josie, Marcus Murphy, and a young Russell Hansbrough. You know what I mean? So, but it's just my mindset now. It's like, all right, football is cool. I think I do it more so now for the networking purposes to meet some of the coaches like Coach Hayes, who, he called me and asked me if I want to intern at any camp this year. He'll help me out. Our GM, who was Trey, who's a young GM, he was the youngest guy I ever interviewed for a GM job with the Raiders about 2 years ago. He called me and said the same thing. And it's just like at this point, you understand the connections and the stuff that you build. And people remember relationships. And that's honestly how I keep getting called. People are like, oh, he's a high character guy. He did well his short time here and there at this team. And then they were like, hey, are you still interested in playing ball? We heard that you're a great leader. You can play X, Y, Z. And that's why the calls keep rolling in.
So what's it like representing yourself, man? Do you like negotiate contracts and all that?
At this point, it's just signing bonuses. Like,
okay.
What can I get up front, But honestly, no, I've pretty much tried to stay away from that. So I'll ask them because at this point, I'm pretty good with I know most of the coaches around. I know most of the players. It ain't a team I've been on now in the last 3-4 years that I haven't known at least 10 players in the locker room. When you've been on 12 teams, you understand it's a small world in this professional football stuff. And so I kind of ask some of those guys, and, I try and just use that, like, hey, like, I know I'm coming here, like, what, if you want me to leave what I'm doing, whether it's motivational speaking or not, like, how much are you willing to give me a signing bonus? I know this guy got that, I'm not going to say their name, but, like, what do I mean to your team? And especially being in St. Louis, it's like, I'm a Mizzou guy, I represent this organization and stuff well, but I took a hometown discount for St. Louis. I told them they didn't have to give me anything because for me to stay, but I told them, I was like, look, hope you guys draft me. I won't show up to any other showcases and stuff, but, I do want to play, if you guys happen to draft me. If not, I'm not playing. And they did. They drafted me higher than I would have drafted myself, honestly, being honest, because I was only going to play for them, honestly. They didn't have to take me fourth with the fourth pick. So it's just small negotiations, small talks. Most of the guys are pretty fair at this point. Most of the contracts are pretty standard. I mean, I'm not negotiating too much anything.
So obviously, you're relatively prepared for, for football to be done whenever it's done and run its course. What's kind of the plan after that? I know you mentioned possibly getting involved with some colleges. Would there be stuff to kind of supplement that, or what's kind of your planned route?
I don't know. Honestly, I never really thought about coaching. I always thought about helping young people. And I remember my short time with the Chiefs. And I actually had a really, really great camp with the Chiefs. Now, I didn't think I was going to play ball again because I got hurt really bad with the Steelers and they told me I'll never play again. So that's when I first got the mindset of like, no matter what, just go have fun. And I did. And I remember Andy Reid and Coach Cully, who was the receivers coach at the time, was like, hey, when you're done with this, if you want to coach, let us know. And it's like, dang. Cuts ain't till a week from now, so y'all already telling me I'm gonna get cut. But I guess if I want to get into coaching, y'all will help me out. And I remember seeing him at Jeremy Maclin Wed, a few years ago. He said the same thing again. I was like, maybe I should give this some thought. And that's what made me kind of think about it. But if it doesn't work out, y'all might want to look out because I'm coming to be, a reporter, and I'm about to start some podcasts and stuff. I'm getting everybody on. There's no limits to who I can get on the show.
You get a job. You can work with Mike Kelly, man. You'd be good. You'd be good on the radio.
Mike gonna steal my thunder. He's just a smooth talker. I ain't doing. He's too much of a vet for me. He's smooth. He's a smooth operator. I'll learn from him for some years. I'll just be quiet. I'll be like, what's that Colin and that girl? What's her name? The Colin Hirsch. I don't know if y'all watch it, but the girl.
Oh no, I don't watch it.
Yeah. She's just over there in the booth, and every blue moon he'll ask me a question. She'll say yes or no. That'll be me.
Good deal. All right, man. So, hey, last thing. I know you mentioned a couple times you're a dad now. So, how old's your kid, and what's that like?
He's 19 months now. He's currently upstairs crying. I think he just bumped his head or something. Probably was climbing the refrigerator.
Right.
No telling at this point. But it's great to kind of he's all boy. So it's like, all right, like he wants to wrestle, he wants to be outside, he wants to play ball with the balls because that's all he says, ball. And I'm like, that's my boy, but if you don't want to play ball, cool with me. Let's go do whatever you want to do. So I like it.
And he's gonna have a few uncles around town too, huh?
That's the good part. Hey, I'm excited about that. So and some nephews and nieces to kind of push down and kick him in the leg. So it'll be good.
All right, man. Well, hey, you got your hands full. Sounds like somebody needs attention upstairs, but appreciate you taking the time, man, and we'll catch up.
Thanks,
Damien.
All right. Have a good one.